Went to deliver a package and heard a baby crying, rocked them to sleep like a mother. When the father saw, Jennifer Miller was about to leave the package at the apartment door when she heard a desperate cry coming from inside. It was a sound she knew all too well, a mix of a child's distress and the exhaustion of someone who had no idea what else to do. She rang the doorbell insistently, hoping someone would answer. When the door opened, she saw a young man with deep dark circles under his eyes, holding a baby who wouldn't stop crying. "Your package," Jennifer said, holding out the parcel. The man took the box with one hand, trying to balance the child with the other. The baby cried even louder, and she could see the desperation in the father's eyes. "Can I hold them for a moment?" Jennifer asked, without thinking twice. Michael Anderson hesitated. He didn't know this woman, but he was at his limit. For 3 weeks, he hadn't slept a full night, and his son Ethan's crying seemed endless. "I don't know if... Please, just for a minute," Jennifer insisted, reaching out. Something in her tone reassured him. Michael handed the baby to the delivery woman and watched what would happen. Jennifer held Ethan with impressive ease, gently swaying him while humming a soft melody. In less than 2 minutes, the crying stopped completely. The baby nestled against her chest and closed his little eyes, breathing calmly for the first time in days. Michael stood frozen. None of the doctors, nurses, or family members had managed that. How had a stranger done it so quickly? "How did you do that?" he asked, almost whispering so as not to wake the child. "It's a song my grandmother taught me," Jennifer replied, still rocking Ethan. She said every baby understands the language of the heart. Michael felt tears welling in his eyes. It had been so long since he'd seen his son sleep so peacefully. Could you come back tomorrow?" he asked, his voice thick with emotion. Jennifer looked at the baby in her arms and felt something stir in her chest. For 2 years she had avoided any contact with young children, but something about this moment touched her deeply. "I work until 6 in the evening," she said. "But after that, please," Michael begged. "I'll pay whatever you need. I haven't slept in weeks. I don't know what else to do." Jennifer nodded slowly. She handed Ethan back to his father, and the baby immediately stirred, but didn't cry. "Tomorrow at 7. I'll come back," she promised. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The next day, Jennifer finished her deliveries faster than usual. All day she couldn't shake the image of the baby sleeping in her arms. It was 6:30 when she rang the doorbell of apartment 1204. Michael opened the door holding Ethan, who was whimpering softly. His face lit up when he saw Jennifer. "You came," he said, relieved. "I promised I would," she replied, stepping inside. It was then that Jennifer got a better look at the place. It was a modern, well-decorated apartment, but clearly in disarray. Clothes strewn about, dirty bottles in the sink, diapers everywhere. "Sorry for the mess," Michael said, embarrassed. Ever since it's just been me and Ethan, I can't keep up." Jennifer took the baby into her arms and began humming again. Ethan calmed almost instantly. "Where is your wife?" she asked, trying to sound casual. Michael's face twisted in pain. "She left us 3 months ago," he said quietly. "Complications during childbirth. The doctors did everything they could, but..." Jennifer's heart tightened. She knew that pain well, though in a different way. "I'm so sorry," she murmured. "Thank you," Michael said as he sat on the couch beside her. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing everything wrong. Ethan cries so much. It's like he misses her too." "Babies feel everything," Jennifer replied, watching Ethan sleep. "They pick up on our distress, our fear. Maybe he's sensing your sadness." Michael looked at her curiously. "Do you have children?" The question hit Jennifer like a punch to the gut. She took a moment to answer. "I did," she said simply. Michael realized he'd touched on a sensitive subject and didn't press further. They sat in silence, watching Ethan sleep peacefully. "What's your name?" Michael asked. "I didn't even introduce myself properly yesterday." "Jennifer Miller, and you?" Michael Anderson, and this little guy here is Ethan. Jennifer smiled at the baby's name. Ethan is a strong name. He's going to be a brave boy. I hope so, Michael murmured, because he'll need to be. Over the next 2 hours, Jennifer helped Michael tidy up the apartment while Ethan slept. She prepared bottles, folded clothes, and organized the kitchen. It was strange how natural these simple gestures felt to her. When Ethan woke up, he didn't cry. He just opened his little eyes and looked around curiously. Jennifer picked him up, and for the first time in weeks, he smiled. "My God," Michael whispered. I'd forgotten what his smile looked like. He just needed to feel safe, Jennifer explained. Babies are very sensitive to the energy of the people around them. Michael watched Jennifer interact with Ethan and felt something he hadn't in months: hope. "Jennifer, I know we barely know each other, but could you keep coming over, not every day, but a few times a week?" Jennifer hesitated. Part of her wanted to run back to her simple life of deliveries, where she didn't have to deal with complicated emotions. But when she looked at Ethan, watching her with those curious little eyes, she couldn't say no. "I can come 3 times a week," she said. "Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. After work." "Perfect," Michael said, smiling for the first time since they'd met. "How much do you charge?" "I don't want money," Jennifer answered quickly. "Just let me help." Michael was confused, but didn't question it. Maybe she needed this as much as they did. In the weeks that followed, Jennifer settled into a routine. 3 times a week after work, she went up to apartment 1204. Ethan always calmed down in her presence, and little by little, Michael regained his sleep and sanity. During these visits, they talked about everything and nothing. Michael told her about his work as an architect, how he'd met his wife in college, and the dreams they'd had for Ethan. Jennifer talked about her deliveries, the interesting places she visited, and her grandmother who raised her. But there was one thing she never mentioned, and Michael respected her silence. A month later, the harmony was interrupted by an unexpected visitor. Jennifer was feeding Ethan when the doorbell rang. Michael answered and returned with a middle-aged woman wearing a stern expression. "Jennifer, this is my neighbor, Barbara Thompson. She lives in the apartment upstairs." Barbara looked Jennifer up and down with disapproval. "So you're the famous babysitter," she said, her tone dripping with hostility. "I'm not a babysitter," Jennifer corrected. "I'm a family friend." "Friend?" Barbara scoffed. "Michael, you barely know this woman. How can you leave your son with a stranger?" "She's not a stranger," Michael defended. "Jennifer has been a lifesaver for us." "Listen, young man." Barbara stepped closer to him, ignoring Jennifer completely. "You're vulnerable. It's natural after everything you've been through. But you need to be more careful. Anyone could take advantage of your situation." Jennifer felt the blood rush to her head, but she controlled herself because of Ethan, who was sleeping in her arms. "I think I should go," she said, standing up. "No," Michael was firm. "Barbara, I appreciate your concern, but Jennifer is welcome here whenever she wants." Barbara left huffing, but not before giving Jennifer a venomous look. "She doesn't like me," Jennifer observed after the neighbor had left. "Barbara doesn't like anyone," Michael sighed. "She lives alone, and I think she's jealous of anyone else's happiness." But Barbara's words planted a seed of doubt in Jennifer's mind. Maybe she really was getting too involved in that family's life. Maybe it was better to step back. The following week, Jennifer hardly showed up. She made excuses about extra work, urgent deliveries. Michael noticed her absence and grew worried. Ethan started crying more, as if sensing something was different. On Friday, when Jennifer finally appeared, Michael confronted her. "Did something happen? You seem different." "Just work," Jennifer lied, picking up Ethan. "Jennifer, we're friends now. If something's bothering you, you can tell me." She looked at him, saw the sincerity in his eyes, and almost opened up. But Barbara's voice echoed in her mind. "Anyone could take advantage of your situation." "It's fine," she insisted. But it wasn't. Over the next few weeks, Jennifer became more distant. She came only to care for Ethan and left soon after. Their conversations dwindled, smiles became rare. Michael felt like he was losing something precious, but didn't know how to get it back. It was during one of these tense visits that everything changed. Jennifer was changing Ethan's diaper when she noticed a photo on the dresser. It was a young woman smiling, holding a positive pregnancy test. The image froze her. The woman had brown hair like hers, eyes the same color. Even the shape of her face was similar. It was like looking at her own sister. "That was my wife, Sarah," Michael said, noticing her shock. She looks like me," Jennifer murmured. Michael stepped closer, looking at the photo, then at Jennifer. The resemblance was truly striking. "That's why," he said softly. "The first day when I opened the door and saw you, for a moment I thought I was dreaming." Jennifer felt a shiver. Was that why Ethan calmed down with her? Was she just a replacement for the mother he lost? "I have to go," she said, handing Ethan back to Michael. "Jennifer, wait." But she was already leaving Michael confused and Ethan starting to cry. That night, Jennifer couldn't sleep. The image of the photo wouldn't leave her mind. She looked at her own graduation photo and saw the similarities she hadn't noticed before. Was it just a coincidence? Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. On Saturday morning, Jennifer was making her deliveries when she got an unexpected call. "Jennifer, it's Michael. Can you come here? It's urgent." The desperation in his voice scared her. "What happened?" "It's Ethan. He has a high fever and won't stop crying. I'm taking him to the hospital, but he only calms down with you." Jennifer abandoned her deliveries mid-route and rushed to the apartment. She found Michael panicked, holding Ethan, who was red with fever and crying. "The fever started in the middle of the night," Michael explained. "I already gave him medicine, but it's not helping." Jennifer took Ethan in her arms and immediately felt the heat of his fever. But, as always, the baby settled in her embrace. "Let's go to the hospital," she said, staying calm. "Are you coming with me?" "Of course I am." At the hospital, while waiting for the pediatrician, Ethan slept peacefully in Jennifer's arms. The other patients in the waiting room remarked on how good she was with children. "You're a natural mother," said an elderly woman. "Your son is beautiful." Jennifer was about to correct her, but Michael responded first. "She really is special with him." The doctor confirmed it was just a virus, nothing serious. Ethan would be fine in a few days, but the hospital experience brought Jennifer and Michael closer again. "Thank you," he said when they got home. "I don't know what I would have done without you today." "Anyone would have done the same," Jennifer replied. "No, that's not true. You're different, Jennifer. Ethan feels it, I feel it." They looked at each other in silence, and for the first time, Jennifer didn't look away. "Michael, there's something I need to tell you," she finally said. "Go ahead." Jennifer took a deep breath. It was time to be honest. "I had a baby 2 years ago. He was born premature and only lived 3 days. Michael held her hand, feeling the weight of her confession. "Jennifer, his name was Jacob," she continued, tears in her eyes. "After he was gone, my husband couldn't handle the loss. He blamed me, said I hadn't taken proper care during the pregnancy. We ended up separating." "What a terrible thing to say," Michael murmured. "For 2 years I avoided any contact with babies. It hurt too much. But when I saw Ethan that first day, crying like that, I couldn't ignore him." "And here I thought you were just being kind," Michael said. "You were actually being brave." Jennifer smiled through her tears. "Maybe both. When you asked if I had children, I didn't know how to answer. Technically, I don't. But in my heart, you'll always be Jacob's mother," Michael finished. "And Ethan was very lucky you were at the door that day. You don't think it's strange? The resemblance to your wife?" Michael thought for a moment. "You know what I think? I think Sarah sent you to us. Not in some mystical way, but maybe the universe has a way of putting the right people in the right place at the right time." That conversation changed everything between them. The wall Jennifer had built finally came down, and she began visiting regularly again. But now it was different. There was no more tension, just a genuine friendship growing between two people who had suffered devastating losses. Ethan was thriving. He smiled more, played, even tried a few words, and whenever he saw Jennifer, his little eyes lit up. It was during one of these peaceful visits that their lives were disrupted again. Jennifer was playing with Ethan on the rug when the doorbell rang insistently. Michael opened the door to find a woman in her 50s, elegantly dressed with a stern expression. "Mom," Michael said, surprised, "what are you doing here?" "I came to see my grandson," replied Mrs. Elizabeth Anderson, stepping in uninvited. "I heard you've been letting a stranger take care of Ethan." Elizabeth's gaze fixed on Jennifer, who was on the floor playing with the baby. "And this must be the babysitter," she said, barely hiding her disdain. "She's not a babysitter, Mom, she's our friend." "Friend?" Elizabeth stepped forward and held out her arms. "Give me my grandson." Ethan, who didn't know his grandmother, started crying when she tried to take him. Jennifer soothed him gently and he calmed down. "See," Elizabeth said indignantly, "this child doesn't recognize me because you let this woman play mother." "It's not like that, Mrs. Elizabeth," Jennifer tried to explain. "I just help when I can." "Don't speak to me," Elizabeth snapped. "Michael, I need to talk to you in private." Michael glanced at Jennifer, embarrassed. "Stay with Ethan," he said. "I'll be right back." In the kitchen, Elizabeth didn't hold back. "Have you lost your mind, letting a complete stranger take care of your son?" "She's not a stranger, Mom. Jennifer has been essential for us." "Essential? Michael, you barely know this woman. Where did she come from? What does she do for a living? Does she have a record?" "She works in deliveries and—" "Deliveries?" Elizabeth laughed scornfully. "A delivery woman raising my grandson. What will people think?" "I don't care what people think." Michael was losing patience. "I care that Ethan is happy and healthy. And who's to say this woman doesn't have ulterior motives? You're a widower. You have a nice house, a young son. You're the perfect target for opportunists. Jennifer has never asked for anything in return. She won't even accept money." "Even worse. That makes it more convincing. Michael, you're being naive." During this argument in the living room, Jennifer heard everything. Each of Elizabeth's words echoed the doubts she already had about her place in this family's life. Maybe Michael's mother was right. Maybe she really was overstepping. Maybe it was time to walk away for good. When Michael returned to the living room, he found Jennifer getting ready to leave. "You heard our conversation," he said. "It wasn't a question." "Some of it," Jennifer admitted. "And maybe your mother is right. Maybe I am overstepping." "Jennifer, no. Ethan is your son, Michael, and she's his grandmother. I'm just a stranger who showed up out of nowhere." "You're not a stranger," Michael said gently, holding her arm. "You're family." His words touched her deeply, but the pressure of the situation was too much. "I need to think," she said. I'm going to take some time." Ethan, sensing the tension, started crying. Jennifer knelt down and held him one last time. "Be a good boy for Daddy," she whispered, kissing his forehead. She handed Ethan to Michael and left, leaving a heavy silence in the apartment. Elizabeth watched it all with satisfaction. "This is for the best," she said. "Now we can get things in order. I'll stay here a few weeks to help you find a qualified nanny." But Ethan wouldn't stop crying. For hours, he refused to calm down, searching for Jennifer in every corner of the apartment. Elizabeth tried everything, but nothing worked. "He just wants that woman," she muttered, frustrated. Michael spent the whole night trying to soothe his son, but it was no use. By morning, he was exhausted and worried. Ethan barely ate, cried almost non-stop, and seemed to be looking for someone. "I'll call a pediatrician," Elizabeth said. "Maybe he's sick." But Michael knew the problem wasn't physical. Ethan missed Jennifer. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. Meanwhile, Jennifer tried to return to her normal delivery routine, but she was completely distracted. She mixed up addresses, delayed deliveries, and her supervisor, Robert Johnson, called her in for a talk. "Jennifer, what's going on with you? Your performance has been inconsistent these past few weeks." I'm sorry, Robert, personal issues. Look, you're one of our best delivery drivers, but I need you to focus. We've had some complaints. I understand. It'll get better. But it didn't. Jennifer was clearly suffering without Ethan and Michael. 3 days passed, and she barely slept, wondering if she'd made the right choice. On Thursday, she got a call from an unknown number. Jennifer, it's Barbara, Michael's neighbor. How did you get my number? Doesn't matter. I need to tell you something. His mother is spreading lies about you in the building. What kind of lies? She says you're an opportunist trying to take advantage of Michael, that you might even be dangerous for the baby. Jennifer's stomach twisted. Why are you telling me this? Because that old woman is disturbing my peace too. Ethan hasn't stopped crying for days. The noise is driving me crazy. What do you want me to do? Come back. For the sake of my sanity, go back and calm that child down. It was ironic that Barbara, who had been hostile from the start, was now asking her to return. I can't. Things got complicated. Listen here, girl. I may not like you, but I see how that baby reacts in your presence. That's not normal. It's special. And if you really care about him, you shouldn't let a bitter old woman get in the way. After the call, Jennifer felt even more confused. Even Barbara had noticed the special connection between her and Ethan. On Friday morning, while making a delivery near Michael's building, she couldn't resist passing by his place. She saw Elizabeth leaving with Ethan in his stroller. The baby was clearly fussy, squirming restlessly. Jennifer hid behind a car and watched. Elizabeth tried to soothe Ethan, but he only cried louder. Several people on the street glanced over, some offering help, but nothing worked. That's when Elizabeth lost her patience. "Stop crying," she shouted at the baby. "You're embarrassing me." Jennifer saw Ethan flinch at the yell and cry even harder. Without thinking, she stepped forward. "Mrs. Elizabeth?" The woman turned, surprised and annoyed. "What are you doing here?" "I was passing by and heard the crying. Can I help?" "I don't need your help," Elizabeth said firmly. But Ethan had spotted Jennifer and reached his little arms toward her, wailing even louder. "He wants to come to me," Jennifer observed. "That's ridiculous. He's a baby. He doesn't know what he wants." But it was obvious to anyone on the street that Ethan recognized Jennifer and wanted to be held by her. Even Elizabeth couldn't deny it. "Just for a moment," she finally said. "So he'll stop crying." Jennifer picked Ethan up and instantly his cries stopped. The baby nestled against her, breathing calmly. "How do you do that?" Elizabeth asked, genuinely curious. "I don't know," Jennifer answered honestly. "It's always been like this." They walked back to the building together, Ethan sleeping peacefully in Jennifer's arms. "Michael told me about your baby," Elizabeth said, breaking the silence. Jennifer was surprised. She hadn't expected him to share that. "I'm sorry for your loss," Elizabeth continued. "It must have been terrible." "It was," Jennifer admitted. "It still is." "Is that why you got close to Ethan? To fill a void?" The question was blunt, but there was no hostility this time. At first, maybe. Jennifer thought about her answer. But then it became more. "I really care about him. And about Michael, too." Elizabeth watched her silently as they rode the elevator up. "You don't want money. You don't want to move in. You're not trying to marry my son. What exactly do you want?" "I just want Ethan to be happy," Jennifer said simply, "and to help Michael when he needs it." "Why? You barely know them." Jennifer considered the question. It was something she'd asked herself. Sometimes people come into your life and just make sense. It doesn't need a complicated explanation. When they entered the apartment, Michael rushed to meet them. "Jennifer." He looked both relieved and worried. "My mom told me that." "She saved my sanity," Elizabeth interrupted. That boy wouldn't stop crying for hours. Michael looked at Ethan, now sleeping peacefully in Jennifer's arms, and sighed. "He missed you," he said. "I missed him too," Jennifer admitted. Elizabeth watched the three of them, and something shifted in her expression. Maybe for the first time since she'd arrived, she was truly seeing the situation. "I'll make some coffee," she said, leaving the room. Michael and Jennifer were alone with Ethan. "I thought you weren't coming back," he said. "I thought I shouldn't. Your mom has reasons to be concerned. But you came back. I saw you on the street. Elizabeth was struggling with Ethan, and I couldn't just walk away." Michael smiled. "You're stubborn, you know that? I'm realistic. I know when I'm not welcome. You'll always be welcome here, Jennifer. This is your home too." In the kitchen, Elizabeth had overheard the conversation. She watched through the crack in the door as Jennifer cared for Ethan, how Michael looked at her, how the three of them seemed like a natural family. Maybe she had been too quick in her judgments. Over coffee, Elizabeth asked Jennifer different questions. She wanted to know about her family, her work, her dreams, and gradually, she began to realize she was facing a woman of integrity, someone who truly cared about her family. "Jennifer, can I ask you a personal question?" Elizabeth said. "Of course." "Do you have feelings for my son?" The question caught Jennifer off guard. She glanced at Michael, who turned red. "Mom?" "It's a fair question," Jennifer said, "and it deserves an honest answer." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Michael is a good man, and any woman would be lucky to be with him. But our relationship has always been about Ethan. We're friends bound by the love we have for this baby." "And what if it were more than friendship?" Elizabeth pressed. "That would be complicated," Jennifer admitted. "He lost his wife not long ago, and I'm still healing from my own losses. It wouldn't be fair to either of us to complicate something that's working well." Michael stayed silent, but something in his eyes suggested he might have already considered that possibility. "A sensible answer," Elizabeth said finally. "It shows you truly care about my family's well-being." That afternoon, Elizabeth watched Jennifer interact with Ethan. She saw how she anticipated his needs, made him laugh, soothed him so naturally. She also noticed how Michael relaxed in her presence, smiled more, seemed less burdened. Maybe this woman wasn't a threat. Maybe she was exactly what her family needed. At the end of the day, as Jennifer prepared to leave, Elizabeth called her aside for a private talk. "Jennifer, I owe you an apology," she said. "I was unfair to you." "You don't need to apologize. You were protecting your family." "Yes, but from a threat that wasn't there. I see now how important you are to Ethan, and to Michael too. Thank you for saying that." "I'd like to make a suggestion," Elizabeth said. "How about you join us for dinner on Sunday? A family meal?" Jennifer was stunned. It was the last thing she expected to hear. "Are you sure?" "I am. Ethan clearly sees you as family, and I think it's time I do the same." On Sunday, Jennifer arrived nervously for dinner. She brought flowers for Elizabeth and a toy for Ethan. The meal was surprisingly pleasant. Elizabeth shared stories about Michael's childhood, showed family photos, and included Jennifer in every conversation. After dinner, while Ethan slept, Elizabeth made an unexpected announcement. "I'll be going back to Denver next week," she said. "So soon?" Michael asked, surprised. "You don't need me here anymore. You have everything under control." Elizabeth looked at Jennifer. "But I want you to promise me one thing," she told her. "Keep looking after my grandson and my son too." "I promise," Jennifer said, moved. "And Michael," Elizabeth turned to her son, "stop punishing yourself for losing Sarah. She wouldn't want you to be alone forever." Michael understood his mother's message, but didn't reply. After Elizabeth left, Jennifer and Michael grew closer. She started spending more time at the apartment, not just 3 times a week, but whenever she could. She helped with chores, ran errands, cooked. Ethan was developing quickly. He was already trying to sit up on his own, responded to his name, and clearly recognized Jennifer as different from others. When she arrived, he'd get excited. When she left, he'd cry. "He thinks you're his mother," Michael observed one afternoon. "Does that bother you?" Jennifer asked, concerned. "No," he answered after thinking. "Actually, it reassures me. He needs a maternal figure, and I don't know anyone better than you for that role. But what about Sarah? I don't want him to forget her." Michael showed Jennifer the room he had set up in the apartment. It was full of photos of Sarah, some of her alone, others of her pregnant, and some with Michael. "He'll grow up knowing who his biological mother was," said Michael. but he'll also know who the person is that raised him with love every day. The conversation was interrupted by Ethan's crying. Jennifer went to him, but this time the baby didn't calm down easily. He was warm and fussy. "I think he has a fever again," she said. Michael confirmed it. Ethan's temperature was 101 degrees. "Let's go to the hospital," Michael decided. At the hospital, while waiting for the doctor, Ethan refused to be comforted by anyone but Jennifer. Even the nurses commented on the special bond between them. "You have a beautiful son," one of them said. "He's very attached to his mommy." Jennifer was about to correct her, but Michael spoke first. "Thank you," he said simply. The doctor diagnosed another mild virus, nothing serious, but recommended someone keep an eye on Ethan overnight. "I'll stay," Jennifer offered. "Are you sure? You have work tomorrow." "Ethan is more important." That night, Jennifer slept on the living room couch so she could hear Ethan if he cried. During the early hours, he woke up a few times but always settled when she approached the crib. Michael, who also wasn't sleeping well, watched everything from the bedroom door. He saw how Jennifer cared for Ethan with so much love and dedication, as if he were truly her own. The next morning, Ethan was better. Jennifer made breakfast for Michael before leaving for work. "Thank you," he said, "for everything. Not just last night, but for all you've done for us. You don't have to thank me. I do it because I want to. I know that's what makes it even more special." They held each other's gaze for a long moment, and Jennifer felt something different in the air. But then Ethan whimpered in his crib, breaking the moment. "I need to go to work," she said quickly. Over the next few months, their routine settled perfectly. Jennifer worked during the day, Michael at his architecture office, and in the afternoon they took turns caring for Ethan. They seemed like a normal couple with a baby. But they weren't a couple, and sometimes that became obvious. One evening, while Jennifer was giving Ethan a bath, one of Michael's friends showed up unexpectedly. "Michael, it's been so long," said Rachel, an elegant woman his age. "Rachel, what are you doing here?" "I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd surprise you." "Who's this?" she asked, seeing Jennifer holding Ethan. "This is Jennifer, our family friend." "Oh, the nanny," Rachel said with a small smile. "I'm glad you found someone reliable." Jennifer felt diminished by the word nanny, but didn't correct her. "Nice to meet you," she said politely. "Jennifer, could you put Ethan to bed?" Michael asked. "Rachel and I will talk in the living room." Jennifer took Ethan to his room, but couldn't help overhearing part of the conversation. "Are you okay, Michael? You seem different." "I'm fine. Better than I've been in a long time." "That's good. You know, I always thought you and I could, when you were ready to move on." Jennifer's heart tightened. Rachel was clearly interested in Michael, and she was just the nanny. "Rachel, I appreciate the interest, but you don't have to answer now. Just think about it." When Jennifer returned to the living room, Rachel was saying goodbye. "It was nice meeting you, Jennifer. Take good care of Ethan." "I always do," Jennifer replied, perhaps more firmly than she intended. After Rachel left, Michael noticed Jennifer seemed off. "Did something happen?" "Nothing, just... she seems nice." "Rachel, I met her in college. She's always been very straightforward." "She's clearly interested in you." Michael looked at Jennifer, trying to read her expression. "And does that bother you?" The question caught Jennifer off guard. Did it bother her? She had no right to be bothered. "No," she lied. "You have the right to move on with your life." "Jennifer, it's late," she interrupted. "I need to go home." Michael was confused by her sudden shift in mood, but didn't push further. In the days that followed, Jennifer grew distant again. She only came to take care of Ethan and left soon after. Michael felt something had changed but didn't know what. It was during one of these tense visits that everything came to a head. Jennifer was preparing Ethan's bottle when Michael confronted her. "What's going on? Ever since Rachel visited, you've been acting strange." "I'm not acting strange." "Yes, you are. You barely talk to me. You avoid my gaze." "Michael, it's nothing." "Is it about Rachel? Do you think I should go out with her?" "I think you should do what makes you happy." And what if I said what makes me happy is the life we have now, the three of us together? Jennifer stopped stirring the bottle. Don't say that. Why not? It's the truth. Because it's not fair. She turned to face him. Not to any of us. You're still grieving, Sarah, and I'm still recovering from my own losses. It'd be easy to confuse gratitude with love, companionship with a relationship. And what if it's not confusion? What if it's real? The question hung in the air, heavy with unexplored possibilities. Michael. I know it's complicated. He stepped closer. I know it's too soon. But I can't pretend I don't feel anything for you. And I can't pretend I don't feel it too, Jennifer finally admitted. But Ethan comes first, always. I completely agree. And what if it doesn't work? If we try and fail, Ethan will lose the only mother figure he's ever known. It was a valid concern, and Michael didn't have an easy answer. I don't know, he said honestly. I just know I don't want to pretend you're just a friend anymore. Ethan chose that moment to wake from his nap, crying. Jennifer went to him and Michael followed. Hi, sweetheart, she said, picking him up. What's wrong? Bad dream? Ethan calmed immediately and smiled at her. Then he looked at Michael and reached out his little arms. Want to go to Daddy? Jennifer asked. Michael took his son, who was happy being passed between them. It was such a natural, familiar scene. Look how happy he is like this, Michael observed, with the two of us. I know, Jennifer murmured. But what if we ruin it? What if we make it even better? Jennifer looked at Ethan, who watched them with curious little eyes. He seemed to sense the tension, but wasn't bothered. If anything, he seemed happy to be with them both. We need to take it slow, she said finally. Of course. And Ethan stays the priority. Always. And if either of us feels it's not working, we talk like adults and protect Ethan above all else. Jennifer nodded, a mix of fear and hope in her heart. So, what happens now? Michael smiled and held out his free hand to her. Now, we take it one step at a time. Jennifer took his hand and Ethan clapped as if approving their decision. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to us as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The next few months were a time of gradual discovery. Michael and Jennifer began to know each other, not just as Ethan's caregivers, but as people with their own dreams, fears, and hopes. Michael shared his passion for architecture, how he wanted to design houses that felt like real homes. Jennifer talked about her long-held dream of owning a flower shop, something she'd given up after losing Jacob. Why a flower shop? Michael asked one afternoon as they walked with Ethan in the park. I've always thought flowers represent new beginnings, Jennifer explained. Every season they die and bloom again. It's a constant cycle of hope. You could pick up that dream again, Michael suggested. I don't know, I'd need a lot of startup capital, business knowledge. I could help. With the business plan, the store design. Jennifer smiled. It was so like Michael to want to help make others' dreams come true. That's generous of you, but it's not generosity, it's partnership. You help me with Ethan. I help you with your dreams. The idea of the flower shop began to take root in Jennifer's mind. Maybe it really was possible. Meanwhile, Ethan was growing fast. He was already crawling, trying to stand, babbling sounds that were starting to sound like words. And always looked for Jennifer when she wasn't nearby. One afternoon, as they played on the living room rug, Ethan looked at Jennifer and said clearly, "Mommy." Jennifer and Michael froze. He said, Michael began. "Mommy," Ethan repeated, smiling at Jennifer. Tears welled in Jennifer's eyes. It was Ethan's first word, and he had chosen to call her Mom. "It's natural," Michael said, seeing her emotion. "You're the mother he knows. But what about Sarah? Sarah will always be his birth mother, but you're the mother raising him. They're two different things, but equally important." That night, after Ethan fell asleep, Jennifer and Michael talked about the future. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said about the flower shop," Michael said. "It's just an old dream. It doesn't have to be. I found the perfect storefront near a hospital and 2 schools, an ideal spot for a flower shop." Jennifer looked at him in surprise. You went looking? I did. And I talked to a friend who has experience in the business. He can guide you on suppliers, inventory, those things. Michael, let me finish. He took her hands. I want to invest in your dream, not as charity, but as partners. You'd handle the creative side and customer service. I'd handle the administrative and financial side. This is crazy. It's an opportunity for you to have financial independence, for me to diversify my investments, and for Ethan to grow up seeing that dreams can come true. The offer was tempting, but Jennifer had doubts. What if it doesn't work? What if I'm not good at it? What if it does? What if you're amazing? Jennifer considered the possibility, having her own flower shop, working with something she loved, being independent. I need to think, she said. Of course, but think carefully. 2 days later, Jennifer gave her answer. I accept, but with conditions. What? I'll pay you back, every penny, with interest. Jennifer, it's the only way I'll agree. It has to be a loan, not a gift. Michael agreed, knowing independence mattered to her. And there's one more condition, Jennifer continued. If our personal relationship doesn't work out, it can't affect the business. Ethan shouldn't suffer because of any incompatibility between us. Agreed, but you're being awfully pessimistic. I'm being realistic, protecting all of us. The flower shop became Jennifer's life project. She spent hours studying flowers, suppliers, decor. Michael helped with spreadsheets, financial projections, store design. Ethan was part of it all, carried along to visit the storefront, napping in his stroller, while his parents planned the future. Yes, they had become a family. Not in the traditional way, but in a way that worked for them. The store renovation took 3 months. Jennifer had a hand in every decision, from wall colors to vase arrangements. Michael designed a space that was both functional and beautiful, with a small area where Ethan could play while she worked. It's perfect, said Jennifer on opening day. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for letting me be part of this, Michael replied. Jennifer's Flowers was a success from day one. The location was perfect, the service warm, and Jennifer truly had a gift for floral arrangements. Within months, she had loyal customers and was able to pay the bills. Ethan adored the shop. He knew all the employees, played among the flowers, and whenever someone asked where his mommy was, he pointed to Jennifer. One day, an elderly woman entered the shop looking for flowers for her husband's grave. Jennifer helped her with such kindness that the woman left in tears. Thank you, dear, the woman said. It's been years since anyone treated me with such care. Come back any time, Jennifer replied. You're always welcome here. Michael, who had watched the whole scene, felt his chest swell with pride. You have a special gift, he said, for taking care of people. I learned from my grandmother. She said everyone needs a little beauty in their life. And you bring that beauty to people. That night, when Ethan was asleep and they were relaxing on the couch, Michael made a decision. Jennifer, I need to tell you something. What is it? I love you. The words hung in the air. Jennifer's heart raced. Michael, I know it's complicated. I know we have a lot at stake, but I can't pretend I don't feel this anymore. Jennifer looked into his eyes and saw absolute sincerity. I love you too, she admitted, but I'm scared. Of what? Of ruining what we have, of losing you and Ethan if something goes wrong. Michael pulled her closer. It won't go wrong, he said. We won't let it. They kissed for the first time, and it felt like all the pieces had fallen into place. The following months were the happiest of Jennifer's life. The flower shop thrived, Ethan grew healthy and bright, and her relationship with Michael deepened every day. But of course, not everything was rosy, as she often joked. The first challenge came when Ethan turned 1. They threw a small party with just close family and a few friends. Elizabeth came from Denver, especially for the occasion. I can't believe my grandson is already 1, she said, watching Ethan try to walk on his own. Time flies, Jennifer agreed, holding Ethan to keep him from falling. And how about you two? How are things? Good, Michael replied. Really good. Great. Ethan needs stability. During the party, one of Michael's friends made an unfortunate comment. It's funny how things work. Ethan doesn't even know Jennifer isn't his birth mother. The remark created an awkward silence. Ethan was in Jennifer's arms when it was said. He'll know when he's older, Michael said firmly. We'll tell him Sarah's story. Of course, the friend tried to backtrack. I didn't mean anything by it. But the seed of doubt had been planted. Later, when they were alone, Jennifer brought it up. Do you think I'm keeping Ethan from knowing his real mother? Jennifer, you are his real mother. Where it counts, you're his mother. But what if when he grows up, he blames me for taking Sarah's place? It won't happen. He'll understand you loved him when he needed love the most. Still, the doubt nagged at Jennifer. She started talking more about Sarah to Ethan, showing him photos, sharing stories Michael had told her. Look here, she'd say, holding up a picture. This is Mommy Sarah. She loved you so much. Ethan, who didn't fully understand yet, would just smile and try to grab the photo. Then one day, he surprised everyone. Mommy Jenny, he said, pointing at Jennifer. Mommy Sarah, he said, pointing at Sarah's photo. It was his way of saying he had two mothers. See, Michael said, he understands he has two mums, one in heaven and one right here with him. The flower shop continued to grow. Jennifer hired 2 employees and was considering opening a second location. Michael supported her in everything, helping with financial management and expansion plans. Ethan, now 18 months old, was already walking and saying several words. He called Michael Daddy, Jennifer Mommy Jenny, and Elizabeth Grandma. He was a happy, sociable child. It was during this time that they received an unexpected visit. Barbara, the neighbor who had been hostile at first, showed up at Jennifer's shop. Hello, Jennifer. Barbara, what brings you here? I came to buy flowers and talk. Jennifer prepared an arrangement while Barbara spoke. I want to apologize, the neighbor said, for how I treated you at first. You don't have to. Yes, I do. I was jealous of seeing a happy family forming. I've lived alone for 15 years, ever since my husband left me. Watching the 3 of you together reminded me of what I lost. Jennifer stopped arranging the flowers and looked at Barbara. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. How could you? I was awful to you. But seeing how Ethan has blossomed, how Michael smiles again, I couldn't deny any longer that you were the best thing to happen to that family. Thank you for saying that. Actually, I came for another reason too. My daughter lives in another state and is pregnant. I'd like to order a special arrangement for when the baby is born. Jennifer smiled and began noting the order. It was strange how life took turns, turning enemies into customers. When Michael heard about Barbara's visit, he laughed. You're even winning over the grumpy neighbors. She was just lonely and afraid of being lonelier. That's why I love you, Michael said. You always see the best in people. Life continued peacefully until Ethan turned 2 when everything changed again. Jennifer was at the shop when she received an unexpected call from Michael. Jennifer, you need to come home, now. What happened? Is it Ethan? No, he's fine. But someone showed up here. Someone you need to meet. Jennifer closed the shop early and rushed to the apartment. She found Michael in the living room with a woman in her early 40s with graying hair and kind eyes. Jennifer, this is Mrs. Catherine, Michael said. She was Sarah's mother. Jennifer felt the world stop. Sarah's mother? Why was she here? It's lovely to meet you, dear, Catherine said, standing. I've heard so much about you. Nice to meet you, Jennifer managed to say. Ethan, who was playing on the rug, looked at Catherine curiously. And this must be my little grandson, Catherine said, tears in her eyes. Ethan, come here, Michael called. This is Grandma Catherine. Ethan approached without fear and studied her with interest. He looks just like Sarah at that age, Catherine murmured. The same eyes, the same smile. Jennifer felt a pang of insecurity. What if Catherine wanted to take Ethan? What if she questioned her right to raise her grandson? Please sit, Michael said. Let's talk. Catherine explained she had spent the last 2 years traveling, trying to cope with losing her only daughter. Now she was ready to meet her grandson and be part of his life. "I didn't come here to cause trouble," she said, looking directly at Jennifer. "I came to thank you." "Thank me?" "For taking care of my grandson when he needed it most. Michael told me everything about you, how you came into their lives, how you became the mother Ethan needed." Tears welled in Jennifer's eyes. "I just did what anyone would do." "No, dear, not anyone would. You made the brave choice to love a child who wasn't yours by blood, but became yours by love." Ethan walked over to Jennifer and reached up. She lifted him into her arms, and he nestled in naturally. "See," Catherine said, "he knows who his mother is, and I'm only grateful for that. Don't you want to take him?" Catherine laughed softly. "Take him? Darling, I didn't come here to destroy a happy family. I came to become part of it, if you'll allow me." It was then that Catherine made a surprising proposal. "I'd like to live closer, not to interfere, but to be part of Ethan's life, to be the grandmother he deserves to have." "You're welcome," Michael said immediately. "And you, Jennifer, how do you feel about this?" Jennifer looked at Ethan, who was playing with her hair, completely unaware of the importance of the conversation. "I think Ethan has the right to know all the people who love him," she said. "And if you're Sarah's mother, you're his family." "And yours too," said Catherine, "if you'll accept me as your mother-in-law." The word mother-in-law left Jennifer confused. Mother-in-law? Michael turned red. "Well, I was actually planning to tell you this in a more romantic way, but..." He pulled a small box from his pocket. "Jennifer Miller, will you marry me?" The world stopped. Ethan clapped his hands as if he understood the significance of the moment. Catherine smiled through tears. "Michael," Jennifer whispered, "I know this is a little clumsy, with my mother-in-law here for the proposal, but I can't imagine my life, our life, without you officially being part of the family." Jennifer looked at the ring, then at Ethan, then at Catherine, who nodded encouragingly. "And Ethan?" she asked. "Ethan already sees you as his mother. Now we want to make that official too." "And Sarah?" "Sarah will always be part of our story," Michael said, "but you are our present and our future." Jennifer took a deep breath. "Yes," she said finally. "Yes, I will." Ethan cheered with joy, Catherine applauded, and Michael slipped the ring onto Jennifer's finger with trembling hands. "Welcome officially to the family," Catherine said, hugging Jennifer. The wedding preparations were made with love and simplicity. It would be a small ceremony, just family and close friends. Ethan would be the ring bearer, Catherine would help with the arrangements, and Elizabeth would come from Denver. Jennifer wanted to get married in her own flower shop, surrounded by the blooms that represented her new beginnings. Michael thought the idea was perfect. "It'll be the most fragrant wedding in history," he joked. 2 weeks before the wedding, Jennifer made a discovery that would change everything again. She'd been feeling queasy for days and decided to take a test. Positive. She was pregnant. She sat in the flower shop's bathroom, staring at the test, unsure how to react. Part of her was euphoric. She was going to be a mother again. Part of her was terrified. What if she lost this baby too? That night, she told Michael. "Pregnant," he repeated, incredulous. "How about 2 months by my count?" Michael picked her up and spun her around the room. "We're having a baby," he shouted. "Shh," Jennifer laughed. "You'll wake Ethan." "Sorry, but we're having a baby." They told Ethan the next day, though he didn't fully understand. "There's going to be a little brother in Mommy's tummy," Michael explained. Ethan placed his small hand on Jennifer's still flat stomach and smiled. "Baby," he said. "That's right, baby." Catherine was radiant with the news. "What a wonderful gift," she said. "Sarah would be so happy." "You think so?" "I'm sure." She wanted Michael to be happy, to have a big, loving family. The wedding took place on a sunny October morning. Jennifer wore a simple dress but glowed with happiness. Ethan, in a little blue suit, carried the rings on a cushion. "Do you take each other in joy and sorrow, in sickness and health, to love and respect every day of your lives?" the judge asked. "I do," said Michael. "I do," said Jennifer. When they kissed, Ethan clapped and shouted, "Yay!" Everyone laughed, and Jennifer felt she was finally whole. The honeymoon was at a mountain inn, just the three of them. Ethan loved seeing the mountains and feeding the horses. Jennifer and Michael walked hand in hand through the gardens, planning their future. "What do you want to name the baby?" Michael asked. "If it's a boy, Jacob, in honor of my first son." "And if it's a girl?" "Sarah," Jennifer said without hesitation, "in honor of Ethan's mother." Michael stopped walking and looked at her. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. She deserves to be remembered." Jennifer's pregnancy was smooth. She worked at the flower shop until the 5th month when Catherine insisted she rest more. "You've already done so much, dear. Now it's time to take care of yourself." Ethan was excited about the idea of a little brother. He talked to his mother's belly, sang to the baby, and helped pick out tiny clothes. One day, he surprised everyone. "Mommy, will baby like flowers?" "I don't know, sweetheart." "Why?" "Because Mommy likes flowers, and baby likes what Mommy likes." The child's logic touched Jennifer's heart. "Maybe so," she said. "Maybe the baby will like flowers too." In the 7th month, they found out it would be a girl. "Sarah," Jennifer murmured, stroking her belly. "Our little Sarah." Michael cried when he heard. It felt like life had come full circle. The birth was very different from Jennifer's first traumatic experience. Michael was present. Catherine took care of Ethan, and everything went perfectly. When Sarah was born, small and perfect, Jennifer felt a peace she hadn't known in years. "She's beautiful," Michael whispered, holding his daughter for the first time. "Just like the other Sarah," Jennifer said. Ethan met his sister the next day. He was amazed by her size. "She's so tiny," he observed. "You were that small too when you were a baby," Jennifer explained. "I'll protect her," declared Ethan, at 2.5 years old. And he did. From day one, Ethan was the most loving brother anyone could ask for. He helped change diapers, sang to Sarah when she cried, and slept on her bedroom floor when she had nightmares. The flower shop continued to thrive. Jennifer worked part-time, spending mornings with the children and afternoons at the store. Michael became an even more present father, working from home whenever possible. Catherine was the perfect grandmother. She watched the children when Jennifer and Michael needed, told stories about the first Sarah, and kept her daughter's memory alive in a healthy way. "Mommy, tell me about Mommy Sarah," Ethan would sometimes ask. "Mommy Sarah was a very special woman," Catherine would begin. "She loved Daddy very much and was so happy when she found out you were coming." "And she went to heaven?" "She went to heaven to watch over you from there. And she sent Mommy Jenny to take care of you here." Ethan accepted the explanation naturally. To him, having two mothers was normal. When Sarah turned 6 months old, the family got a surprise. Elizabeth arrived from Denver with a proposal. "I want to move here," she announced. "Mom," Michael was surprised. "You have 2 small children, you work so much. You need help, and I want to be part of my grandchildren's daily lives." The house grew fuller but also happier. Elizabeth and Catherine got along wonderfully, taking turns caring for the children. "I never imagined I'd have 2 mothers-in-law," Jennifer joked one day. "And we never imagined we'd share the same daughter-in-law," Catherine replied. "But it works," Elizabeth added. "We're a modern family." At 3 years old, Ethan was a smart and affectionate boy. He spoke naturally about his 2 mothers, understood he was born to one and raised by the other, and saw no issue with it. "At school, the kids only have one mom," he commented one day. "Does that bother you?" Jennifer asked. "No, I'm lucky. I have 2. Sarah grew up healthy and bright. By 10 months, she was already trying to copy everything her brother did. It was clear she adored him. The flower shop now had 3 full-time employees and served events all over town. Jennifer had become a reference in floral arrangements, but she never forgot that her success had begun with the courage to ring a doorbell on that distant day. "Do you regret anything?" Michael asked one evening as they watched the children sleeping. "Not a thing," Jennifer replied. "Every choice brought me here. Even the losses, especially the losses. They prepared me to appreciate what I have now." Michael hugged her. "I love you, Jennifer Miller Anderson." I love you too. End of story. Now we'd love to hear your thoughts on this touching story. Do you believe Jennifer made the right decisions? How would you feel in her shoes upon hearing that baby cry? Share your honest reflections about this family that came together in such a special way in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other moving stories like this one.